Hello everybody and welcome back to Building the Vietnam War in Lego episode 3. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about minifigures. So far for minifigures, I don't have a single one. This is all I have, which I will explain here in one moment. But first, I will show you my plan for the minifigures overall. Right, so on the topic of minifigures, I don't know if I've said this before, but my helmets and guns are coming from Brick Tactical. I would do minifigures from Brick Tactical, but I'm not doing total custom minifigs because they are a tad bit too expensive. So what I am doing is just buying the M1 pod helmets, the classic M16s, and AK-47s from Brick Tactical. And then I would buy torsos, but he really only has... I mean, his World War II torsos would work for Vietnam, but Citizen Brick has some more accurate Vietnam War ones. So that's all that. And then, of course, I did say Citizen Brick for torsos, and the hands on the Vietnam Grunt torso are sadly yellow, but I'll fix that, of course. So I am using the Vietnam Grunt torso, which is a very detailed, very good-looking torso, and it'll really look good. Might look a little off with just plain legs with no printing. I would buy the... Let me see if I can find it here. I would buy the Vietnam legs. Let me search them. I would buy these legs, but that would bring the cost up to the figure from like $9 to almost a whole $15 per figure. So I guess I don't have the legs on here anymore, but I'll get some of their heads just because I think their heads look good, but for the most part I'm not going to use their heads. And then of course I'm going to use their Viet Cong torso, because if I'm buying that from them, why not just buy the Viet Cong torso from them? And then right here I just have the hands for these U.S. troops, because I have, these are the heads I have right now. I'll talk about these right here. So, the way I'm setting up my troops, I guess I'll talk about that right now. No, I'll talk about that in a minute. But for the hands, I have 2 hands per head color, and then I have 2 more heads in here that I don't already have. And I have, I'm gonna bring that down to like 31. I'll go 30. Update card to bring it down a little more. Yeah, that brings the price down a little bit. But these are going to be the hats I'm using for the Viet Cong. Originally, everybody used those, and I didn't want to use those. And I was looking for other alternatives, but, you know, talking to my grandpa, he said they did just wear the little straw hats. So, that's minifigures I'm piecing together. And then I'm buying the legs, just sand green legs from Lego Pick-a-Brick online. So I'm going to grab a base plate and let's start setting up the troops that I have. So here is the base plate. And then first I'll talk about the heads. So I just took heads off of lots of my Star Wars minifigures, because those are the only skin tone heads I have. They will get returned to their respective minifigure after this mock is done. But I wanted some diversity, so you can see there's 3 different colors. There's reddish brown, medium nougat, light nougat, and this is like a medium tan or something like that right there. A little bit of a different color. So I have at the bottom here, at the bottom too, I just have some random generic, these 3, and then I don't know what most of these heads are from. I know this is from the Sith Trooper, that's from Din Djarin, that's an Angry Clone head, and that's that normal head. And the 2 reddish brown heads do look similar. They do look pretty similar, but the one on the right is, you know, like a younger, not as distinct. And then this one here, this one comes from Mace Windu, but more distinct jaw lines and stuff like that. So those are the first 10 heads. And in the United States military, a platoon consists of 3 to to 4 squads. The squads consist of anywhere from 6 to, you could have up to probably 14 troops in there. Each squad is led by a sergeant, and then the platoon itself is led by a lieutenant. So if we're putting it down here, I might have that wrong. No, I don't have that wrong. So if I take these legs, because I don't have new torsos yet, I'm going to order them here, because this video will be with them ordered. And then, so I have 10 legs, because I'm buying them 9 at a time, 1 squad at a time. But here's my lieutenant, and I'm trying to make, anybody who's seen Forrest Gump, that's one of my mom's favorite movies. I love it. You would know Lieutenant Dan. I do want to make my lieutenant use one of these heads, or order a head that looks the closest thing as possible to Lieutenant Dan, because why not? So, trying to think of how I should set this up here, because I don't really have all the legs. So what I'm going to do to know how to set them up properly is I'm going to grab 2 squads of clone troopers, because that will help me set this up properly. Because I'm not using the clone troopers in Vietnam, obviously. But I want to be able to have these legs set up and positioned correctly. So I'm going to set the legs, because I already ordered the 10 M1 pot helmets and then 10 M16s from Brick Tactical. So I'm just going to start setting these guys up. So I'm going to use the clones. I'm hoping they'll fill up the whole base plate. So this is how I'm gonna have the squad set up. So it'll be squad 1 right here. Might have to space them out a little more if I wanted to take up a whole base plate, because it is only gonna be 36 troops. And then squad 2 is going to be here. And I'm going to need a few more clone troopers to help me fill out these squads. I'm going to take these clone troopers off as I put more squads in. But the clone troopers are just to help figure out where to place these figures. So after this, I'm going to start buying them 9 at a time. And this is how I'm going to set up my clone army as well. So, if you notice, I did say there's a clone sergeant. Or not a clone sergeant, but a sergeant leading every single squad. And the sergeant is not going to stand out separately. He's just going to look like everybody else. Because, you know, there's nothing really distinct about sergeants. So just imagine this, but in Vietnam grunts. Alright. So boom, boom. As I said, these clowns are just to help me figure out where to place these legs. And I'm going to outline. I'm going to give them 3 spaces in between each leg. 3, 3, 3. I think that might be spaced out too much. I'm going to bring them in closer. There are going to be 3 this way just because of the guns that they have to carry. Then Lieutenant Dan will go right there. Then I think I'm going to outline, just so I know where the troops go, I'm going to outline each area. Just like with the green. Alright, so it's been figured out here. Lieutenant, troops, 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 troops. So, it's not that many troops, but now I'm gonna look at the heads. See which head goes to which person. So I'm going to look up a picture here of Lieutenant Dan, because I haven't seen the movie in a good year. Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. Because, I mean, Lieutenant Dan is the best character in the whole movie. Probably. It's played by Dan Taylor. Alright, so looking at the heads here, which head represents Lieutenant Dan? I was aiming towards this one originally, but it's not looking like that is the right head. I mean, at first I was just going to have this be the Lieutenant's head because it's a bit of a older head. I might still do that. Lieutenant Dan Taylor. Lieutenant Dan. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Alright, so for Lieutenant Dan, it is looking like the best head is going to be... Looking at all these different heads... Because I'm going to have Bubba on here, too. You only know if you've seen the movie. If you know, you know. For Lieutenant Dan... This is a really hard choice. I think I'm just going to have this head to represent Lieutenant Dan. It's not a perfect representation. It's Din Djarin's head from The Mandalorian. But I think it gets the point across. I'm just going to put the head right there next to its respective thing. So now I have this older man head. You know, that's somebody who was probably in World War II. Because the Vietnam War went on from 1955 to 1975. Take it the United States was not involved in it that whole entire time. But that is as long as Vietnam was going on. It was a very, very long war. So, and technically wasn't even won by anybody. Alright, so this is going to be Bubba. I feel like this face represents Bubba fairly well. That's it, and I don't know if that's going to be Bubba. I might get a different head for Bubba. This is definitely Forrest. That's definitely the head for Forrest. So Forrest will be here. Then these two heads will just get randomly placed. I know you're technically not supposed to have beards in the military, but all these are just like, they've been out in the field for too long and they haven't gotten a chance to shave or something. So I'll move that head there. Put that head because I think it looks the best there. And that head there. So there are all the heads. So I do really need to order those torsos. So I am excited that I finally started the army building. So once I get, because my birthday was pretty much a month ago, but my birthday party was that Saturday. My dad rented the theater to watch Indiana Jones, so the whole theater was for sales for me, and that was pretty fun. And so I'm gonna order the hands and those Viet Cong torsos as well as the U.S. torsos for all those troops. And I'll be back to you guys when all those are ordered. And then, because I'm cutting this clip a little short because I need to turn my fan back on. This fan here, it's pretty loud, but our AC went out and it's 120 degrees outside. So, I'm also getting some of the multicam rigs or whatever, and one more of these heads. Because for Christmas, I am building my stepfather. I know Christmas is in a while, but I've already started building my stepfather a sig fig. He was in the U.S. Army Reserve from, I think, 1996 to 2000. or yeah, something like that. So I am making 2 figures, one for me, one for him, of him in his army uniform. I'll do a whole video on that at a separate point in time. So I'm going to order those pieces, get them ordered, and I will be back to you guys when those pieces arrive. And just so you guys know how long I'm working on this video, it's currently July 18th.